Hi, my name's Penny. Welcome to this Yin Yoga. For this class, you don't really need any props, but if you'd like, you can have some blocks or a bolster to sit upon. This class is targeted towards people who do a lot of walking or running and would like a yin practice for recovery. It's not necessarily has to be for anybody who is athletic, but that's what we're working with today. So go ahead and stack your spine, close your eyes, put your fingers into Chin Mudra, and take a breath in and exhale. And breathe in again. And exhale. And I invite you to focus on relaxing the muscles in your legs and arms that you use while you're doing a lot of walking or hiking or running. And let that be your intention today. So breathe in again. And exhale. Go ahead and open your eyes. Remove your bolster if you're using one. And the first pose we're going to do today is a squatted toe release. So try to make sure all 5 of your toes, sometimes our pinky toe likes to run off and not participate, but try to get all 5 of your toes. And you have a couple of options here. You can also use blocks to hold on to. So you're just going to sit on your heels and open up the backs of your feet. And for some people, if they have arthritis in their toes and their feet, this can be a little uncomfortable. So we're going to stay here for about 3 minutes. And if it gets too uncomfortable, go ahead and push into your blocks if you don't have them, the floor, and you can just rock up, leaving your knees up. And then when you're ready, go ahead and come back into this. They call it broken toe posture. It's not meant to break your toes, but some people's feet are really tight. So make sure those little pinky toes aren't wandering away. And this shouldn't hurt really too bad. So you have, of course, the option to lift your knees and give your toes a bit of a break. And just breathe. Now, when we run or walk or hike, we do beat up our feet a little bit. So this is just going to open up the undersides of your feet. When you take a breath in, it's kind of like you're breathing in a really nice aroma, something that you like a pie or cake or good cooking. And when you exhale, you're going to exhale like you're also exhaling that very yummy smell that you really like pie or cake or cookies or a really nice dinner. So just exhale that. Or it can be even an aromatherapy that you like lavender. Just breathe in and exhale. Just opening up the back of our feet. Now take a breath in and exhale. Go ahead and come off of those toes and just take your feet and paddle them on the bottom of the mat here. Opening up those feet, wiggling those toes just a little bit here. And now we're going to do an ankle stretch. So just come into a hero's pose. Now, for a lot of people, sitting on your feet can be uncomfortable. So you can always take a block and put it underneath your hips so that you can not stretch out your ankles so that your feet don't cramp. So your option is to sit on this block in hero's pose. Or if you feel like you have the ankle flexibility and your calves don't cramp, then just go ahead and sit here. and we'll be here for a couple of minutes. And just breathe. You can still stack your spine. You're welcome to have your eyes closed, opening up the front of your shins. Just take some nice breaths in and nice breaths out. If you would like, and you feel like you're ready to get a little more flexibility into those ankles, you can use your blocks, press them on the floor, and even push into the front of your feet. That's up to you. For some people, this is enough just to be on their front of their ankles. But for some people, they can come back and push their tops of their feet into the floor. And you are welcome to do that. Obviously, if that's causing you pain, come out of the pose. And if you feel like you can come back into the pose, go right ahead and just come back, stretching out the front of those ankles. This is an intense pose. And take a breath in and exhale. Breathe in again. Exhale. Whatever position you ended up in that stretching out the front of the shins and the tops of the feet, go ahead and put your blocks to the side. Come out of that pose and go back again and just kind of smack your tops of your feet on the floor. Roll over on your toes. Wiggle your toes. Let's go ahead and do a hip flexor stretch. Half monkey is called in yin. You can use your blocks if you'd like. If you don't want to use your blocks or you don't have them, just put your hands on the floor. Take that right foot forward and come to a stretch for the front of your hip flexors here. And just hold that. Now, if you'd like, you can come down into more of a runner's stretch, or you can stay up into this, what they call half Hanumanasana, half monkey pose. And breathe. And unlike with a vinyasa practice, you don't have to squeeze your glutes unless you'd want to, but that would also help you open up these hip flexors. In yin yoga, we just usually relax into the pose and let the body unwind. So I have these blocks here, which really help me to stay up. Like I said, you are more than welcome to put the blocks to the side. Put your hands on the floor. And breathe. Our hip flexors get extremely tight from sitting a lot as we drive or as we sit at a desk. And they even get pretty tight when we're walking or running. If your knees are sore in this pose, you can fold your mat over the top, giving your knees a little bit of extra cushion, or you can always put a folded up towel underneath your knees. All of that's really good for this half monkey pose. So take a long breath in, and a long, slow breath out. Come out of that. Let's go into a little bit of a hamstring stretch. And bring your toes towards your nose. A little bit of just opening up that hamstring. And let's go ahead and switch sides. Take your right knee down. Take your left foot forward. And if you'd like to use something under your knees, go ahead and use that now. Whether it's a towel or a blanket or even your mat. And you're welcome to hold on to these blocks to keep your posture up, which is really nice for your back and your neck. And take a breath in and exhale. Breathe in again. Exhale and just imagine that front hip flexor just opening up. You're also welcome to squeeze that right glute, relax it, squeeze it, and relax it just to help open up your hip flexor, which is actually iliopsoas is the muscle, and rectus femoris are both hip flexor muscles. And this is what it would look like if I had my hands on the floor. I prefer the blocks. So I'm just going to stay up in here. You can imagine your front of your right hip flexor just unwinding, which is going to give you a lot more range of motion. Breathe in, breathe out. Just enjoy the opening of that hip flexor. So take a long breath in, a long, slow breath out. And very carefully come out of this hip flexor stretch. And if you'd like to go ahead and come back into a half split, just opening up this hamstring here, pulling your toes towards your nose, pulling your abdominals in slightly. Just open up the back of that hamstring. It's a really nice counter stretch for the hip flexor. And come out of that. Let's go ahead and have a seat on the floor. You are welcome to sit on a block or on a bolster if you'd like, or even on a folded up blanket for this next one. We're going to do shoelace along with eagle arms. So on shoelace, we're going to take the right leg forward and take the left leg over the top of that. And I'm just going to sit there on the floor because it makes more sense to me. And this is a really nice stretch for the outside of the hip. Pull your feet towards you. Take your right arm and place it underneath your left arm. Now, if this isn't comfortable on your knees, you are more than welcome to straighten out that right leg for this and just do a half shoelace pose. So I'm going to come into this shoelace pose here. Feet towards your hips. You don't want to be sitting on your hips. On your feet. You want to sit on your hips. Right arm underneath left arm. If you can't clasp, you can always use a towel or a band for this, or even hook your hand on your outside of your thumb here. So normally we try to get into prayer. That's not going to happen. Most people do not have that kind of flexibility. And just breathe. It's a great hip opening for the left side if the left leg is over the top of the right. I really love these eagle arms, but if they don't work for you and the legs are working for you, you're more than welcome to just hold them, holding the elbows. So take a long breath in, long, slow breath out. Breathe in again. Prepare to unwind. Take your arms out first. Kind of roll your shoulders around. Move your neck around just a little bit. And when you're ready, take your right leg out from underneath you. Take your feet about hip distance and just move your legs back and forth in a windshield wiper. Getting some circulation into those joints, and let's go ahead and switch to the other side. Take your left leg and put that on the bottom so the knee is facing towards the side of the mat. Take your right leg over the top, and here is your tie, your shoelace tie. Like I said, you are welcome to just straighten out your left leg if you'd like, and do a half shoelace if that works better for you. Whatever works in this hip opening. It is an intense pose, so do what's best for you. Let's go ahead and do the shoelace portion. The eagle portion. Take your arms to the side. Take your left arm underneath your right arm. And like I said, you're welcome to hold at the elbows, at the shoulders, or even have a tie to hold on to. Or you can bring your hands into prayer as much as possible. And just take some breaths in, opening up the back of the shoulders in this eagle pose for the arms, while you're opening up the sides of the hips in this shoelace pose. When we do a lot of hiking, walking, or running, we do have tendency to have very tight ITB and hip. So this practice is focused on that. And just breathe. Focus on your hips relaxing and your shoulders relaxing. You can drop your shoulders to the ears if they're up high. Move your neck a little bit if it's getting tight. Close your eyes if you'd like. Focus on your intention. Relaxing those tight muscles. So take a long breath in. Long, slow breath out. Go ahead and unwind the arms first. Roll those shoulders around a little bit. Move that neck and head around a little bit. And when you're ready, take your left leg out from underneath you. Move your right leg. Feet are going to be hip distance, and just go ahead and do the more windshield wipers here. Our next pose that we're actually going to do is frog. And some of you might want like a blanket underneath your knees because this is a wide-legged pose. So you're going to come onto your hands and knees here. And you're going to let your legs go out to the sides here of your mat, and your feet are going to line up with your legs. So If you have a towel or a blanket, you'll put that underneath your knees, or you could go lengthwise on your mat, or even fold up the sides of your mat if that would help. So I'll show you folding up the sides of your mat for frog. And then you're just going to line your feet up with your knees as much as you can and just push back into that pose. So this is what it would look like from the front. You are welcome to bring your head down. And I will show you what it looks like from the side. So frog can be an intense pose. If it's too intense for you, go ahead and go into your child's pose, which would be feet together. So that is going to be up to you, frog or child's pose. And you're just going to be here for just a little bit. Your toes are going to come out to the side. Knees are going to be on the floor or on a mat. And just breathe into this stretch. It's really nice to have kind of a towel or something to cushion those knees. Now, you ideally would push your glutes towards your feet to get a better stretch in your inner groin, your inner thighs. If it's too much, you can always come out and push back in. And just breathe. Be gentle with yourself. You don't want to overdo any of these stretches. This is a very intense stretch for the inner thigh. Like I said, you always have the option of child's pose for this. Or even technically, you could probably do happy baby, because that's also an inner thigh stretch. So take a long breath in. A long, slow breath out. Another long breath in. And a long, slow breath out. Come out of this very carefully. Put your hands into the floor and bring your knees in together. And go ahead and sit in hero's pose for just a minute to get yourself back into a more normal stretch, considering the fact that frog stretch can be so intense. Let's go ahead and do some more windshield wipers for your hips, just to bring more circulation into that hip. And let's do swan, which is a pigeon in regular regular yoga, or you can do a figure four. So in swan, you're just going to bring that right leg forward, left leg back. You can also stop at deer, or you can come into your swan. And you can come into a sleeping swan by just coming forward and just getting a really nice hip flexor stretch. And breathe. This one's just really nice for the outside of your legs. It's also super relaxing. So for people who want to do swan, go ahead and stay in swan. If you would rather do a seated figure four, you could sit in this seated figure four here, or even lay down in figure four. So this seated figure four is the same move as swan. So pick your move and just go ahead and have a breath in and exhale. I'm going to move it back into swan. Breathe in again. Exhale and just go ahead and relax. For people whose hip is up too high, you can always take a block and put it underneath that glute if you feel like that will bring a little stability into that glute. You can also put your head on a block or on your fists if it doesn't go to the floor or you care not to invert with your head on the floor. So take a long breath in. Nice, long, slow breath out. If you're in pigeon or swan, come back up into your glutes here and swing your left leg around. Come into a seated figure four. For everybody who's in seated figure four, go ahead and stay there. From seated figure four, we're actually going to lay down on the ground, on the mat. Drop our left leg down and the right leg is going to come right beside it with the knee pointing towards the ceiling. And if you want, you can hold on to that ankle. Or you can just leave it there and open up. This is a iliotibial stretch, a really nice ITB stretch. And just relax. Letting the sides of your hips open up some more. Come back to your focus, back to relaxing the muscles that you work out. Those long walks, runs, hiking that you take. Imagine those hips being free of pain, able to go long distances. And you can close your eyes here if you'd like. Just no falling asleep yet. So take a long breath in. Long, slow breath out. Go ahead and push yourself up with your hands and straighten out your legs. And let's just flap them on the floor, opening up those hamstrings. You can even do a light massage on your quadriceps to bring in some circulation on that right leg. And let's go ahead and do the left side. So whether you're going to do swan or a seated figure four or a laying down figure four, go ahead and go into that. If you're in the seated figure four or swan, go ahead and flex your left foot a little bit. That helps protect the knees. So this would be a seated figure four. And this would be swan in yin. Like I said, you always have the option of deer pose. So if you're coming into swan on the left side or seated figure four, you pick, yogi's choice, take a breath in. As you exhale, just come down to the floor and relax. And you can use a block underneath your hips if you'd like, underneath your head if you'd like. or even stay up. Just up to you. It is kind of nice to have a block underneath your head because it puts a lot of really nice pressure into your third eye, into your forehead, which actually can cause, or the sixth chakra, all the same, right in between your, above your eyeballs, just eyebrows, just a little bit. It can be very relaxing to put a little bit of pressure there. So you pick. The closer your foot is towards your hip, the less you actually need to worry about focusing on flexing that left foot. The higher it is even to the top of the mat, that's when you want to flex more, just to really protect that knee. Anytime you do these forward bends, whether it's swan or any kind of forward fold, that really helps relax the nervous system. So take a long breath in. Long, slow breath out. If you're in swan, go ahead and push yourself out. If you're in a seated figure four, stay right there for just a moment. So if you were in swan, come into a seated figure four. And now you're in here on your seated figure four. And go ahead and lay down onto the floor or onto the mat. Take your right leg and just let it fall to the side. And go ahead and grab that left foot if you'd like to get a nice stretch in this side of the ITB, iliotibial band. You can open up your arms and just relax into this really nice ITB stretch. Now with your arms can be out, you can even put them up above your head. You can hold on to your elbows if you'd like. Or even hold on to that left foot if you feel like it's slipping away. Sometimes I like to hold on to the left foot just to keep it where it needs to be so I can really feel that stretch in the hip and this ITB. So I'm going to leave that up to you. I'll just be silent here for just a couple of moments. Focus on your attention. Take a nice deep breath in and a nice deep breath out. Another deep breath in and another deep breath out. Now this can be kind of a rather intense ITB stretch. If it's too intense, let that foot go closer to your knee, that left foot, which will take some pressure off of this left hip. If you want it to be more of an intense stretch, you're just going to take a hold of that ankle and bring it closer to your hip on this left ankle. You're going to feel much more of a stretch in this hip. So take a breath in and exhale. Breathe in again And exhale, and go ahead and unwind your legs. Just for a little bit, just bring your knees together, feet apart in a resting pose, a back resting pose. And if this resting pose works for you, stay here for your Shavasana. If not, if you would like to go ahead and take your right leg to your right side of your mat, the left leg to the left side of your mat, you can come into a Shavasana. You can also take, if you want to do a little bit of a chest opener, take a block underneath your back. It's going to be about mid-back, stopping at your shoulders, and a block underneath your head. And it can be at a higher level if you'd like your head lifted up a little bit, or a lower head if you lower level if you want your head flat on your back, flat with your back. I'm going to show how it looks like if I just put my head on a higher level than my back width is. And then I'm just going to open up my arms to open up my chest. So right leg towards the right end of the mat, left leg towards the left end of the mat. And just open up your chest if you're using the blocks for this. This is a really nice way to do Shavasana. And you also still have the option of knees together and feet apart, which is a relax the back Shavasana. And close your eyes. Whichever you chose to do for your Shavasana, just stay right there and be happy with that choice. And take a breath in. And exhale. Breathe in and focus on your feet. Wiggle your toes. Relax your toes. Wiggle your ankles. Relax your ankles. Squeeze your calves, your quads. Relax your calves and quads. Relax your glutes. Relax your hands, your arms, your chest. Most importantly, relax your mind. Let it all go. You've done all the work you need to do for this practice. Sometimes when Shavasana, our mind wants to wander, go ahead and bring it back as many times as you need to this moment, to this time. Come back to your intention. Now you are more than welcome to stay in this Shavasana, especially if you're comfortable. It's nice to stay as long as 10 or 15 minutes in Shavasana. Your body feels like it's had a nap. It's extremely healthy on your immune system as well as your nervous system to stay in Shavasana. But if you have places to go, things to do, you can point your toes and bring your arms above your head and just make yourself as long as possible. Breathe in, exhale, and go ahead and move your blocks if you were using them. Bring your knees into your chest and roll over onto your side and push into a seated position. You're more than welcome to grab your bolster or a block to sit upon. If you're always putting your one leg forward in your cross-legged Sukhasana position, let's go ahead and try to do the opposite leg. If you don't remember which leg you normally use, do whichever one you'd like. It's usually the one you go to first is the one you normally use, though. Just FYI there. And go ahead and bring your hands into Chin Mudra. Close your eyes. Come back to your focus. We'll end this session with one sound of peace, one sound of Om. So open your eyes if you'd like, or keep them closed. Bring your hands into prayer. Take a breath in. Om. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining me in this class, this Yin Yoga to help with walking recovery and running, hiking recovery. And I hope to see you in the mat real soon. Be good to yourself and each other.